So for those of you who have not seen this before, I'll give you a very quick rundown of what is happening here. But basically, things start out in this area. This was the homeland, basically, of a race of humanoid genies. Very, very magic-orientated, very magical race, innately so. And it got blown up. One of the gods was murdered, and this was the center point of where that happened. And boom. As a part of that, this inland sea was embiggened. A lot of the land that was around here has then been flooded, and many of the races changed. So the genie people basically fragmented and mutated. So we've got the humans, which are those who had the magic completely burned out of them, as it was so dangerous. Then the elves had most of the magic burned out of them, but they still retain a little bit, so they're the ones who are on the fringes. Where am I? That's a good question. I'm here! The gnomes were the ones who took shelter in the Shield Mountains, so the gnomes are up here. The magic kind of fell on top of them like fallout, so they became very resistant to it and also maintained a bit of their magical capabilities. And then there's also the Feywild, so the magic that didn't fall on the Shield Mountains dropped over here on the woods, and this basically becomes the Feywild, where there is a lot of magical madness going on. And that is the area that we are focusing on today. So we have molded this region already. That's fairly close to what I want that to look like. But this is still the chaotic madness of the world generation system that we used to create this general outline. You can see that a lot more of this is a lot more homogeneous. It's a lot more balanced in terms of how the terrain looks. There's not random deserts in the middle of everything, except over here. We haven't actually done the back of the Dwarven realm. Last week we worked on this, which is the peninsula down in the south, which is kind of like Greece and Italy, that type of terrain. And the islands. We haven't done anything with the islands just yet. The islands are honestly probably going to be one of the last things I look at, because they're just not important for the beginning of this. So, yeah, how do we want this to look? What is our idea with the mountains in the north? We definitely want it to be mountainous. We definitely want it to be rugged. Probably one of the most rugged areas in the world at this point. It is effectively Scandinavia, yeah. So we have like Norway over there. And in fact, it is reverse Scandinavia. This is the mountainous region, and then it flattens out. And then down here in the south is probably going to be kind of like a Denmark. In fact, this southern region is going to be interesting because we are going to have several waves of invaders coming from the west. And they would attack here. This is going to be some really nice territory. So this might well end up being one of the homelands for, like, maybe one of the Orc nations, or possibly like goblins or something like that. Which I think is going to be an interesting counterbalance to the other humanoid races, which will be over here. Are there going to be fjords? There probably will be, like, in the far north, if we get the mountains kind of sloping out that way. We shall see. The other thing we want to consider is real tectonics. Why is this part of the continent the way it is? Are there any bearings from other mountain ranges that affect that? So there are kind of mountains which skirt around this. We have this central mountain, which is effectively the northern tectonic plate, and then this one colliding together. We have the really big mountain ranges, this one, and this one, which are effectively ripples. Those are like the Alps or the Carpathians, where the plates are just mashed together, and then you get mountains where the plates ripple upwards. And this is probably the far end of one of those ripples. There probably is another ripple range here, or something else. Pretty much like England, lots of invasions and settling. Well, actually, I think that the area that's going to be the most like England is going to be this, and this. There's going to be a lot of invasions and counter-invasions here, but that's going to be more to do with the inland sea. This is going to be really foreign invasions coming in. Yeah, so yeah, I guess it would be like England with the Vikings coming in. People beyond the sea. Oceans tend to have plates separating away from each other. Yeah, that's true. I mean, one thing that we did say about Is it down here? No, I don't think we actually used it in the end. It was like Sierra Nevada in California, where you have coast, mountains, valley, mountains. And the mountains running along the coast are really close to the coast. They're like an hour's drive, half-hour drive. You can go from Santa Monica into the mountains within an hour. It's really close. It's quite impressive, actually, just how quickly the land rises. And then beyond that, you have this giant valley, which is Silicon Valley. And then beyond that, you have the Rockies. Or is it Sierra Nevada after that? There's something and then Sierra Nevada. I don't remember. How does that work? Give me a map of California. California's coastal mountains are transform oceanic continental. Let's take a look. Let's take a look. So it's this bit down here. So you got San Jose, which is the valley. And then you go over towards Pasadena, Santa Cruz. It's this. And then it flattens out rapidly down to this. But you do have this mountain range here in the middle. And then, yeah, is this the other one? Where's Sierra Nevada? Sequoia, Death Valley. I've been there. Interesting place. Stanislaus. Oh, there's Lake Tahoe. Been there too. Also really nice. Pacific Place is horizontally dragging against the American continent. Yeah, which is why you have all of this. Like, you can kind of see where the fault lines are. This whole place is kind of messy, tectonically speaking. Then, where's Salt Lake City? There. So Sierra Nevada is definitely on this end. It's after Reno. So I think this is Sierra Nevada here. Then this is the valley. With a blip in the middle. So I don't... Yeah, this looks like valley as well. Modesto, this is flat. So yeah, there's mountains there. There's mountains in there. Flat. San Jose is not as central as I remember it being. What are you looking for? Mountains. Because I remember making this journey from San Jose to Santa Cruz many times, and there's a big frickin' mountain range in the way. But it wasn't Sierra Nevada. Sierra Nevada's further east, and is a lot bigger. A lot bigger. But the truly impressive mountain range is... Where am I looking for? Where is Colorado? There it is. This one. That's the Rockies, where it just goes flat, 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 flat mountain. It's really impressive. Like, you're just like driving for days and days and days from like across Kansas or across Nebraska, just wheat field mountains. It's just so sudden. So completely sudden. It's not like gentle hills or anything leading to the no, it's just flat mountain. That was one of the surprising things. Just like, oh, that's a mountain range. And it just starts. It's super sudden. Try the terrain layer. Oh, that's a good idea. Aha! There we go. Now we can see it. Good suggestion. So yeah, this is what I mean. Flat, 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 flat mountain. There's like nothing else out here. It is just woof, flat. And then, yes, this is the mountains. You can see them here. So San Jose is in the valley. And then there's another valley over here, which is Modesto, Fresno, and then Sierra Nevada. But this is the valley I was talking about. That's Silicon Valley right there. Rockies are a prime example of the rain shadow, down from which the Chinook winds are so frozen dry that snow just straight up sublimates as they blow over. Yes, and you can really see that. It's why all of this is a lot drier than this. Another really good example of rain shadows is Is it Dominica? It's not Jamaica. I feel like it was one of the smaller Caribbean islands. Fairly sure it was one of the ones that was split in half. Yeah, it must be Haiti, Dominican Republic. I don't remember which way round it goes, though. So one half is desert, the other half is tropical. And there's a mountain range in the middle, and all of the water drops on one side of the mountain, the other side of the mountain doesn't get any. And if you stand on top of the mountain, you look one way, it's rainforest, you look the other way, it's desert. That's one hell of a rain shadow. And that's really what gave me the idea with the Dwarven lands. Classic rain shadows in the Hawaiian Islands. Was it Hawaii? Might have been, actually. Maui? Maybe? Maui's the one that I've been to. Yeah, you can see it's right there. Okay, I think it was Maui. Is it Maui, though? I remember Maui was weird because it had like one half the island was black sand beaches. The Haiti-Dominican Republic split is due to bad environmental resource management in Haiti. Okay. Well, one of them is definitely a rain shadow. I could have sworn it was between two countries. I could have sworn it was in the Caribbean. But I could be wrong. But anyway, it was a really stark example of rain shadow. Anyway, that is not getting back to what we're doing, because we are looking for somewhere which is a little bit more Scandinavian. So it's kind of a reverse here. So you have Norway on the inside, and then you have Sweden on the outside. So this is Norway, and then this is Sweden. But here I don't think there is a rain shadow. Rain shadow is further south. It's when moisture gets picked up from the lake and then dumped almost immediately. Okay, so, well, the first thing I want to do is tidy up the mountains. Like, I do think we still want to have a lot of it being high up. We could even have, like, a valley in the middle. So mountain range out here, then a valley. How about the Andes in South America? You mean around Chile and Argentina? That's the Andes, isn't it? Oh yes, it would stay. I'm still doing EU4. I need to change that. So we are now on building a new world. World, building, just chatting. Done. Yeah, Norway has a lot of tunnels. A lot of tunnels. And the Oslo area is not that mountainous. Also true. Because when you think Norway, what you're actually thinking of is around here. It's Bergen. This is all the fjords. Norway has fjords, but it's nowhere near as spectacular with the mountains. Like, if you go to see the fjords, you're almost certainly going to Bergen. Oslo's just flipping expensive. That's the thing that Oslo is for. Taking all of your money. Anyway, I kind of like the idea that we have two mountains kind of running through here. And then flattening out dramatically. I mean, we could even have a bit of a Denmark effect. Because one of the cool things that is about Scandinavia is Denmark. Denmark is, and the comic series Scandinavia in the World does real justice to this. Denmark's basically Norway's kid. Because what happens is all the mountains start eroding away and all of the sediment starts pouring into the North Sea. Then because of the currents of the North Sea, it gets dumped right here. So all of Denmark, and Denmark is really, really sandy. And that's because all of Denmark is basically formed from the sediment from the Norwegian mountains. And yeah, Scandinavia in the World is fantastic. Really, really good series. So we could have something similar to Denmark popping out the top of like up here. Or it's basically the sediment from this area becoming that. As of... So, yeah, I actually really like the idea that this is open, and then we could probably have a bit of an archipelago coming down here. Somewhat similar to the bit that we have in the middle there. I like islands. We don't have enough of them. So I think I will have the mountains maybe going right out to this, and then some of the sediment being collected here, and then there's also another bit which kind of gets dropped out here. So let's have this mountain range going all the way out to there, then we'll have this mountain range that kind of loops around the side. And then this is the big open area there. Cool. Right, let's get drawing. So we need terrain, we need classic, we need... I think what I'm going to do first is go grazing land. We're going to go for the bucket, because this worked quite well when we were filling in all of the big chunks previously. Except there are going to be... Whoops, not those. Those hills are fine for the time being. And we definitely want to have a lot of woods up here, especially, I would say, like the northern bit. There's going to be a little bit here, which is going to be very forested. All right, then let's get rid of the bucket and bring in the mountains. There we go. And then we have the mountains, which basically sweep out to here. And then a separate set of mountains which connect through this. And in fact, he is already somewhat done by these hilly areas, and I think that's kind of okay. So then it's the mountains which are here in the middle randomly that we need to get rid of. And I think to do that, I'm just going to use farmland because it sticks out. And we're just going to wear that away and make this a lot smoother. We'll probably replace a lot of this with hills, but this allows us to see what we're working with. And then, yeah, I think that there's just going to be one big-ass clump of mountains up here in the top. And this is probably going to be where some of the biggest ranges are. This is super high. That's the Himalayas of this world. And then a little bit of an opening, maybe further south. We'll have these north-south openings. This is still going to be shut. And then I would say that we can have a couple more high mountains in the middle there. Let's just fill these bits in, just to make sure that that stays as it's supposed to be. And now I don't like that this is so straight. It's just a straight line. That looks weird. So let's have you being a bit more curvaceous and bring you, say, down to here. And then replace the bits that we've taken out with this. And then I think what we may even do... It still feels way too flat. I don't like that at all. Let's try... I'm just going to get rid of this mountain range for a second. We'll have a think about how this should be shaped. We'll get rid of those mountains. Because I would like to have some mountains on the edge. So maybe you have the mountains fanning down to here, and this is why this is so weirdly shaped. So instead the mountains come around this way, and then down a bit, and then probably end around there. So it's right up against the coast, and then you have this sheltered area in the middle. And I think what I'm going to do is we're going to have this water going right up to the mountains. This is very much fjords. With some areas that haven't been quite so worn. Something like that. And then I think we may have a separate branch that kind of comes in here. Comes around. And this is just going to be a highland type area. Do I want these mountains in the middle? Some of them, yes, but we can get rid of these more southern bits. I kind of like the idea that there's a mountain going in. A little bit of a range that kind of goes in like that. And yeah, we'll definitely do some passage valleys going through here. I just wanted to get the rough outline first. Let's make you a bit more bulky. So what formed this? Because the problem with this is it's not going that way. It's not going towards the coast. Glacier? Glacier sat in here? I don't know. How was Norway formed? Was there a glacier that sat in here or something? That's true, like Scotland's also similar. And actually the cool thing about Scotland is this landmass is the same as this landmass. Yeah, this landmass, Nova Scotia. It's the same rock. Geologists have matched them. Nova Scotia is literally New Scotland. Same mountain range. Mudslides. Glaciers and mudslides. Then you know what? I think I need the ocean to come more into this. It can't be quite so nice. It would be... Well, actually it can be, because you have this kind of shell around the edge, and then you have Oslo, which is in the middle. This would effectively be... Well, Oslo would probably be there. Scandinavian mountains are weird. It's a process called coastal uplift that we don't really understand yet. That's also where Scotland tried to colonise as well. I know. And you know what? I for a really long time, Nova Scotia being New Scotland just did not click. Just did not occur to me at all. Then I was playing as Scotland in EU4, founded my first colonial nation. It was called Nova Scotia. I just went, oh yeah, that's what it means. Huh. Didn't have a clue before then. I thought it was just a cool name. And then you also had the Darien project, which was Panama. Scotland owned Panama. That's a random mountain. Get rid of it. Yeah, the Scotia and Scotland are just not put together. The Nova I knew meant new, but Scotia and Scotland, And you're saying there should be a northern passage, maybe through here. I can live with that. We'll turn it into hills. Right there. And we also have a bit of a passage, which is kind of... Well, we were talking about having the passages around here, so I think what we do need to do is expand these mountains out a bit more. Make them a bit bigger, and then we can have a bit of a go at making some less big at the base, which is like so. Maybe there as well. We'll have this little headland. That looks a bit more natural now. I think also probably in here. You know what? No. That bit, yes, but we'll keep this heavy. And we'll bring in some hills there. Yeah, that looks a lot better. I think we may even do the same. Create like a little hilly valley almost that goes into that. And then this definitely will be hills. Then we have this area down here, which is, I think we'll probably have woods tucking into one of these. Probably this one. But I don't think I'm necessarily going to have high woods. We'll just have forest coming in, something like... so. And then up and around the edges, of course. And then we'll do thick ass evergreen here in the middle. Like that is dense forest, like never really explored type forest, and then it's going to empty out. Something like that, and then it'll become mixed down here. And then become deciduous. And then I think this is going to be more open and probably wetter. Let's have grassy hills in these sections. And possibly even a bit of a swamp in the bit that kind of links these two areas. You know what? I think this is where we should put a lake. We should put a lake right in there. Have a couple of lakes. And then I think this is going to be much less fjord-like. This is where the sediment has collected. I'm going to get rid of you completely. So this bit's actually pretty nice. And then we have the rocky bits out there. And then, like I was saying, we could have a bit of an archipelago that kind of goes down this way. Fill in something like that. Just going to make this easier for myself. Make sure there are no gaps. There are no gaps. Paint bucket. Boop. I'm just putting ground down here. This is not necessarily the shape of this. I just wanted to have the area to play with, and then we can basically add ocean again. You making Gotland? I mean, kind of. I think that this is basically an extension of that, where maybe there used to be mountains up here, broke through here, and then this is sand. So it should probably come down a bit more, down to like here. So we have a couple of smaller islands. Tiny little England. There. And then this one probably... You know, I'm actually kind of okay with that being such a large one. And maybe another one or two. Let's go out in this direction. And this is where a lot of the sediment from the northern mountains has been gathering. Maybe make the archipelago fit in the neighbouring continent torn apart by the movement tectonic plates. These aren't tectonic. These are sandbanks. They're going to be very sandy. This really is the sediment from this. It's where it's settled. That is basically that. It's Denmark. Super flat, super sandy. Which is why I'm a little tempted. I mean, it should have a very similar outlook to this. It's basically a continuation of that. And then probably settles in some kind of bank, which is probably about here. Gonna get rid of this bit because it doesn't really fit. Because I want it to kind of curl inwards. And you don't fit at all. Yeah, I quite like that actually. I have a shape like this. Vaguely. I need to play with you a bit more. Make the edges a bit more random. Especially up there, and then where it gets blown in from the top. I mean, this is, in fact, this occurs in two places. Here and here. This is probably a bit more like the Dutch bit. This is, like, what we've done is we've compressed Denmark, which is this, with the Dutch islands, which is this. So this probably needs to be a bit smaller. Although I quite like that being... do I? This one's a bit more tear-shaped. I want you curving in towards there. Kind of rounded off by the ocean action. See, Omar. There we go. I quite like that. And then, like I said, this is going to be pretty sandy compared to the rest. I actually really like that. It looks cool on the map too. And that is going to be... Actually going to start these being desert coastal to really emphasize the fact that this is sand. That also means that a lot of this bit is going to... Well, actually, this bit doesn't necessarily need to be sandy. That's where the sediment started to deposit, and it's got the forests to put dead material on it, which makes it more fertile. Here you don't have the forests. It's pretty bland, pretty bleak. Then I think that also means that I need to get rid of this, so it really looks like this is washing down there. And I kind of feel like these bits are pointing up. They should be pointing down. Come on, game. Catch up. Don't be crashing on me now. Ah, crap. Am I still in bucket mode? I knew I was going to do that at some point. I knew it. So you were saying this looks really natural? Turn that off. All right, we're good. We're good. Good to know it didn't just crash, though. Right, so we wanted that to go kind of down that way. You know what? I might actually just go and clear this all off, and then we'll just make our own. Okay. So what I would like is for mountains to be constantly kind of petering out in that kind of direction. And let's make you a bit bigger. And we'll get the ocean coming in a little bit more like this. And basically there are mountainous areas in between these sections. With hills. Particularly green hills, I'm going to say. On the inside, I've done too much damage there. I don't want it to be that mountainous. These mountains are too big. Something like that. It looks kind of artificial now. Not sure how much I like that. Let's just put in a quick save here so I don't screw this up more. I don't like this at all. No. How much will the undo remember? I think the problem is I'm making it too thick. Like, the shield mountains are supposed to be one of the really thick areas. Yeah, see, that just looks a hell of a lot more natural. Oops. Edit. Redo. Control Y. Control Y and Y. So what we kind of want to do is make this... Saving that. I'm going to make this another version so I'm not overwriting too much. I really like having backups that I can back up to. So I can see the evolution of this. So we're on to World Origins 7 at this point. Hello, I am there. Hello. And we want to reduce you right down. Reduce you again. So we're pointing a bit more in that kind of direction. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the hills. I'm going to fill these in with hills. Still don't like this very much. Slightly better. Right, let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this. This. And this. And definitely any semblance of land being up there. I think all of this, at the very least, is just going to be water. No land up there. We'll fill in the icy bits later. Make it kind of go that type of direction. And then we want the water sections to stick in. So it looks like it's been worn away by the oceans. There we go. And I think there in particular, this is going to be one of the really big areas. That's probably the giant fjord, because that forms in line with this. Well, that one goes out there. This one comes out here. There's probably rivers that come down through this. So I don't think I want it to be quite that wide up this end. Let's bring the mountains back in, although I'll probably turn a lot of that into hills. Let's bring in some mountains back to here. And then have water. Whoops, that's not water. That's the Underdark. Okay, then we get the hills. It's the hills that make up the back ends of this. And then I think probably the back end of this as well. That's actually going to be flat. Hills running around the top of this. And I think a bit of a bigger mountain that way. So you can see a bit more of how this was created. I think that looks a lot better now. Although I think I would like you to be sticking out a bit more, and I would definitely like you to stick out a bit more. Hills. We want all of this to be hills. We can have a couple of trees up that way, and then it flattens out there pretty aggressively. I think that's too many hills. I think having that big mountain's pretty important. Norway's looking good. Yeah, this is definitely an improvement to how it was. Problem is, this is getting too close to the swamp, which I don't like. I mean, we can push the swamp back. No, you know what? I like the swamp in there. I think this might actually work better if it was just mountain. So you can see that this was really like, these are granite headstones effectively, and then there was something softer in between. But you can still see how the mountains are kind of continuations. The only one that you can't really see as a continuation is this one, which is probably why this one looks a bit weird. So instead, I think what I'm going to do is have it spreading out like so, and then we're going to get rid of this top part. And there's going to be a bit of a bay here, which sticks out into coastal sand, where you can kind of see... Well, no, the sediment wouldn't have gathered that closely. Let's get rid of that. Like, what's the bit of Norway right around here look like? Yeah, see, this is just a mess of small islands. So I still feel like that's sticking out too much. But then it does kind of need to reach out to there, so maybe it should even stick out a bit further. And then let's get rid of... Let's have a curve, first of all. It's too big a curve, but I did that on purpose so I could remove it. Too much. And then what I'm thinking is hills in there. Flattening out pretty quickly. Let's make that bit more of a bay. We want farmland at this base bit. Don't like the shape of that still. This is surprisingly hard. Maybe it's too regular. Needs a bit more randomness. There you go. And then I think that this still needs to come down a bit more. It's too eh. Yeah, it's the little islands and things that make it look worn, which is why I need it to be a bit more, I think, connected to this. I think it might just be too far back. So if we had the mountains kind of going out this way. So what I'm going to do is we're going to turn this whole section mountain. And we're going to chip away at it until we see something we like. That's the wrong type of mountain. That one. Boop. I think this is going to be the way to do it. So we definitely want the mountains curving around that way. Oh, Pete's sake. Get rid of the bucket! Mountain to come out a little bit further that way. And then we can chip away at it again. And I do think that we should probably have a couple of mountainous bits just out. Or at least hilly hills. Out on their own. Something like that, so you can really see where work has been done. And then I think what I want to do is just make this a little bit more contiguous. It's not actually going to be farmland, I'm just doing that so it's rounded out a bit more, and then what we can do is we can chip away at that too. Without the bucket. And then those bits I think need to be hills. To show that those bits are really rocky. And then as we're coming in a bit closer to inland, we have the hills forming back here. There we go. And then let's get rid of... Actually, you know what? No, let's not get rid of it. Angle this out a little bit more. Yeah, kind of like that. There we go. Oh, I like that a lot more. Now that's looking chaotic. And I think we can even say some of this stuff is still really high. So I would like a couple of the white mountains there. In here, and then in here. Like, these are some pretty big mountain masses. And then the really big stuff is in here. Like, this really is tall mountains. In this section here. Which comes in to connect with this little section that goes down. And we have another little area in there. I don't like it being that bulbinous. Let's go and do this. And this volcano basically blew a lot of this out and is the source of a lot of the sediment flowing out. So the water table from these goes down here, exits through. In fact, this probably is the exit from this. This probably exits into the lake. So does this. And then either exits down here or feeds into this. So in fact, I think that this still needs to be hilly. Because while water does exit out this exit, I think the majority of this would actually flow southwards, which is why this is like a bit of a delta. Terrain on the leeward side of the high ice mountains would likely be rough, like ice. Yeah, true. This would be pretty dry. I don't like how thick this is. Let's go and reduce that a bit. Hills! Need some more hills. There we go. That's better. Alright, let's go and get rid of these. I think I might also just get rid of the trees so I can see what's in here. Definitely getting rid of the deserts. Check to see if there's any left. There's a few bits up there, but I think I'll probably just turn those into hills. Oh, still on the bucket. Need to find out what the hotkey for that bucket is. I actually kind of like that there's a bit of a hilly range up there. Might expand it a bit. There we go. I like that. And then there's a bit of a pass that comes through here, which is fine. So now we need to work out what this terrain down here is. And I think that's probably going to be mostly grazing land and hills. And I think I might actually go and hillify this. Because now what I'm thinking is I should probably work out where the rivers go. Let's go ahead and do that. Shapes, line, preset, stream. Don't change that. Alright, so these small streams will have its source somewhere up there. Come through the middle of these, straight through the center of this, where the terrain is the lowest. And exit into here. Oh, shoot, don't do that. No! Crap. Move you. Deletes the whole thing, unfortunately. Alright, so let's try that again. And then I think it is going to go a little bit haywire. It's going to come around here and around. No, you know what? Don't do that bit. Come straight through the middle. And then exit down here. And honestly, the last bit of this is definitely, from here is going to be thick river. Navigable, very, very much navigable. And then the reason I was doing that is because I was thinking we could have these lakes emptying into the river. And I think these can also be rivers, so have you empty into about there. And then you can actually come around the edge and empty in down there. And then I think I want to have some hills in between this. So let's go for some green hills. Grassy hills. Grassy hills. In the middle, in there. Which is why this river does not just empty into this. Because it stays with the lowland. Is this for Valheim? No, I'm just making a world. I don't like this bit. I think it should just flow in. That curve is weird. Try that again. There we go. Better. And then I think what I would like to do is keep this bit hilly. We may well make this more forested. That's going to be fine. And then... do forests tend to follow the rivers, or the rivers kind of break out of the forests? Do you know what I mean? Like, do the trees go along with the river? Probably not. I would think they probably branch around the sides. I feel like this needs to come in a bit more. And then I would also like to have some hills over on that side, which is effectively a continuation of these mountains. Maybe not quite so aggressively. Trees need water, so they'll follow the rivers into the dry grasslands. Thank you. So I'm thinking that we'll probably have this deciduous forest follow this river a ways down. Something like so. While the bits around it turn into grazing land. And... yeah, something like that. And I think that this also wants to be a bit more forested, coming down to about there. We may even want to have some of those hills be treed. And I do think that the bottom bit, this bit down here, should be grassland. And make this grazing. Oops. A lot of these hills could probably be grassy hills. So the grazing land come up that way a bit more. Yeah, should probably be fairly marshy. Let's have that spread out properly. Like so. There we go. That's looking better. Fantasy Norway is coming to life. And we got hilly grass, which is going to be all of these. And then seeing where we're getting to, I would say that this probably becomes grassland. In there. Why do so many mountain ranges in Europe have Alps in the name? They do? Placian Alps makes me wonder, maybe Alps means mountain, some other older languages. Unless they're literally mountains in the Alps. I mean, the Alps is a pretty hefty mountain range. And then down here, I think these bits should be, whoops, grassland. And then I think we also need to play with the sandbar islands. I think that some of this interior can afford to be grazing ground. Particularly, I would say, on the inside. It's older. This is where grasses have started to grow. I think we're going to keep that as pretty sandy up there. Let's do like that. Something like that. And there are definitely no trees down in those bits. I'm actually going to make you... You've drifted the furthest. You're probably the oldest. So much so I might even put a hill. I might actually put a hill in the middle of that. There we go. Should probably be grassy hills. There we go. I really like that area. That is a cool region now. Could probably do with adding more rivers in general to this world, but the way it's shaping up is nice. 2:15. So I think next time we've got one area of the world left to do. And that's this. This little bit here. Of this. That's going to be next time's job, though. The other thing that I do need to do is work out how to make things snowy again. I see. Was that it? Yeah. I don't want it to be that, though. I want it to be icy water. And part of the way that we're going to do this is by going boop on top of you. And then we're going to turn off the bucket. We're going to grab the water oceany bit and we're just going to go. Okay, that doesn't work. It's because we still got ice selected. Alright, let's try that again. You even get sound effects. Good enough. What are we working on today? Fake Scandinavia. But I think we've pretty much finished it now. I really like the way that this looks. I think that's really cool. Because if we go back to one of the older ones, we'll do Open Origin 5. This is what it used to look like. This is what it looks like now. I think I'm getting better at this. Man, that is a big difference. That is a really big difference. And then we just need to, yeah, so Dwarven Realm. Next time. Finish this area off. And then either we finish off the islands. Which, honestly, the islands I don't think need very much. I kind of gave them a once-over already when I was building them. I just need to get rid of the farmland and replace it with something else. Maybe make them a bit sandier. And we need to give this one a bit more of an identity to it, kind of like what we did down here for the turtles. Do the dwarves, do the islands, and then at that point we start placing nations. And that's when things really will get interesting. Anyway, I think I'm going to call this one here. So thank you everyone for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this. If you have, be sure to hit that follow button to get notifications when I'm live again in the future. If you've really enjoyed this and you would like to support the channel, then please do consider subscribing. It does help the channel out and lets me do more of this kind of content. If you have enjoyed this and you want to support the channel, check out the Patreon, or you can also subscribe here on Twitch. If you want to see the Dungeons & Dragons group that this is being made for, you can find us every Sunday on Digital Dragon. So twitch.tv/digitaldragons, which Macho has just placed. Thank you very much for that. They're a really cool bunch, and we're having an absolutely excellent game so far. There's a dragon fight going on. So I'm just saying, if you join us on Sunday, there will be dragons. We're putting the dragons into Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, there is also a dungeon. So both Dungeons and Dragons. I do have a YouTube channel where all of the previous episodes of this series have been uploaded. So if you're curious, how the hell did the world come to look like this? You can find that over on the YubTubs at youtube.com/MordredViking. I do also have a Discord, which is where the community hangs out. They're a cool bunch, and it's always a pleasure to see some new faces up there. So come join us, say hello. You will be more than welcome. I just noticed that we have some areas that we need to adjust, which I've now done. And in fact, in here as well. We had some errant pieces of farmland. In fact, there's also some errant pieces of desert. Don't like that. Let's get rid of those. Those errant bits of desert should probably be made hills. Yeah, we're just gonna do that real quick. So make you into hills. Make you into hills. You. All of you. Oh, that was a paint. A bucket. That's fine. And then apparently there's another region up here I haven't done. We did this side of the cut, but not this side, so this also needs to be finished. Alright, cool. Keep finding new areas. But that's fine. It's expected. Anyway, that really is it for me for now. So thanks everyone for watching. I will see you tomorrow for Total War Warhammer 3. That is what we are playing. Warhammer 3, it's the release day. I am doing a sponsored stream thanks to Creative Assembly, and I am excited. Right, let's go and see who else is streaming at the moment. I'm just going to go to the break screen so I can actually go and check stuff. Where is my Twitch stuff? Twitch.tv. And who's streaming? Loads of people. Oh, hey, Forex Kitty's on. I have not seen her on for weeks. Oh, we're definitely raiding her. So head on over to Forex Kitty. Say hello from Mordred Viking. I would love to see a chat lit up by the Viking Raid, which you could do by copying and pasting Viking Raid just like that. Or if you're a subscriber and you have access to the long ships, you can bring those along instead. Anyway, that's all for me for now. Thanks everyone for watching. I will see you next time. We're going to do some more world building next Wednesday, FYI. Until then, everyone.